What if I told you that one of the most influential inventions in human history is not the wheel or fire, but a threshold you pass every day without noticing? From ancient tombs to modern skyscrapers, doors are not merely points of passage. They are architectural witnesses that have silently accompanied the shaping of societies, the formation of rituals, and the shifting directions of cultures. You may not remember how many doors you passed through today, yet behind each one lies a forgotten engineering skill, a layered symbolic meaning, and a story that has followed the development of humanity like a shadow. This object, which appears ordinary on the surface, is in fact a sealed archive of security, belief, and social order. Throughout the long journey of civilization, there are certain structures that become invisible simply because of familiarity. The door is one of the most powerful examples of this invisibility. This simple threshold, which defines the boundary of a space and separates inside from outside, carries some of the oldest social codes in human history. The door is the first architectural expression of security, privacy, and belonging. Doors make it possible not only to enter, but also to exclude. In this sense, they are the architectural reflection of humanity's desire to control space. A closed door protects. An open door invites. A half-open door reminds us of the ancient balance between curiosity and caution. Even these three states alone reveal how deeply rooted the cultural, social, and psychological dimensions of doors truly are. The doors we pass through without noticing in our daily lives carry a memory stretching back thousands of years. Every threshold is a silent witness to both an ending and a beginning. For this reason, doors can be seen as one of the most fundamental yet invisible archives of human history. In prehistoric times, as humans struggled to meet their most basic needs for shelter and protection, doors did not yet exist in their modern form. Piles of stones placed at cave entrances, animal hides, or temporary barriers made of thick branches served the function of the earliest doors. These were defenses against the unknown threats of the outside world, and at the same time, they were the first architectural expressions of an idea that would shape human society forever. This space belongs to us. These early thresholds symbolized not only physical protection, but also the birth of privacy. To enclose a space is to assign meaning to it. Thus, the door began to represent the essence of an unspoken social order. Inside was us. Outside was the other. This distinction created a social reflex that would spread across the entirety of human history. Over time, the earliest forms of doors evolved into more conscious designs. Shelters developed, structures diversified, materials changed. Yet the core function of the door remained unchanged: to protect, to separate, to select, and to invite. In ancient societies, doors were not merely structural elements. They were among the most visible symbols of social order. Fortress gates represented military power and authority. Temple entrances marked the boundary of the sacred. These doors clearly revealed the status, intention, and social position of those who passed through them. In the rituals of the ancient world, passing through a door was rarely a simple act. Entering a temple required spiritual preparation. Stepping into a palace signified political acceptance. Passing through a city gate meant entering another community and another system of rules. In this sense, the door was not just a line separating two spaces. It was a threshold connecting two different states of identity. Reliefs, divine figures, seals, and protective symbols carved onto doors were inseparable parts of these rituals. For ancient people, the door was both a physical and metaphysical boundary. It was the space of protection, acceptance, exclusion, and transformation. From the moment doors first existed, they marked a boundary. But that boundary could only be truly protected with the invention of the lock. The lock and key signal one of the most profound social transformations in human history. The emergence of personal property. It was no longer enough for a space to exist. It now had to be protected from others. In ancient Mesopotamia, early lock mechanisms were simple wooden systems operating with pins. In Egypt, these mechanisms became more complex. The stronger the lock, the higher the perceived status of its owner. Behind a locked door now lay not only a family, but also economic value. The lock reshaped social hierarchy. The right to lock a door was a powerful symbol of ownership. This invention did more than increase security. It redefined relationships, responsibilities, and boundaries. Thus, the door became not just an architectural element, but a form of social contract. In the collective unconscious of humanity, the door has always been far more than a simple passageway. In mythology, doors symbolize stepping into the unknown, moving between worlds, and undergoing spiritual transformation. The gates of the underworld in Mesopotamian myths, the association of the goddess Hecate with triple thresholds in ancient Greece, and the guardian spirits of doors in Nordic sagas all reveal the deep roots of this symbolism. In art, doors carry different meanings across periods. In medieval iconography, the door often represented the path to the divine. In Renaissance paintings, it symbolized the opening of knowledge and human reason to new horizons. In the modern era, the door became a metaphor for the boundary between consciousness and the subconscious. Every door is both a literal and metaphorical passage. This connection between the architecture of the physical world and the inner journey of the human mind transformed doors into symbols of humanity's search for meanings. The Roman Empire shaped its architectural legacy not only through roads, bridges, and aqueducts, but also through engineering techniques that fundamentally redefined doors. The development of arch technology allowed doors to be built wider and stronger. Entrances were no longer mere points of passage. They became open symbols of power and order. Roman city gates were designed as monumental structures reflecting imperial grandeur. decorated with stonework, reliefs, and inscriptions. These gates carried a clear political message. Entry to this land exists under authority and law. The durability provided by arches allowed Roman doors to stand for centuries. The reason many Roman gates still stand today lies not only in stone quality, but in the unique harmony between engineering and aesthetics. Doors physically marked the empire's borders while sealing its cultural legacy into history. In medieval cities, doors ceased to be simple passage points and became strategic centers of power. Cities were surrounded by walls. Gates embedded within those walls served both as defensive barriers against external threats and as control mechanisms regulating internal order. The decision to open or close a gate could determine the fate of an entire city. Guards stood watch at entrances. New arrivals were questioned. Trade goods were recorded. These gates controlled economic flow and played a central role in shaping urban identity. Coats of arms placed above city gates symbolized both the authority of rulers and the pride of the city itself. Drawbridges, moats, and fortified gate towers represented some of the most creative achievements of military engineering. The door was no longer a simple opening. It was planned, defended, and politically charged. It was both the key to entry and the armor of the city. With the Industrial Revolution, door design entered a new era, breaking away from materials that had dominated for thousands of years. The mass production of metal, the strength of steel, and the large-scale processing of glass made doors not only stronger, but more functional. Wooden doors were gradually replaced by metal frames, cast iron decorations, and industrial hinge systems. At the same time, lock mechanisms underwent a major transformation. Simple pin systems gave way to complex gears, rotating cylinders, and intricate key profiles. Security was evolving from physical barriers into mechanical intelligence. Railway stations, factory entrances, and apartment buildings introduced new types of doors that defined the rhythm of modern urban life. In this process, the door became not just an architectural element, but a technological product. Standardized designs spread across the world, reshaping both urbanization and daily habits. Automatic doors, which emerged in the mid-20th century, marked a turning point in adapting architecture to the speed of modern life. Advances in sensor technology allowed people to interact with doors without physical contact. This was not merely about convenience. It also represented progress in hygiene, security, and accessibility. Today, in the year 2025, doors have become intelligent systems. Facial recognition, fingerprint authentication, RFID, and mobile access technologies have largely replaced traditional locks. Doors now recognize users, learn behavior patterns, and automatically apply security protocols. What was once a simple structure that opened and closed has become part of digital identity management. For the first time in history, the door defines not only physical boundaries, but also the thresholds of identity, privacy, and security in the digital world. Doors are not only architectural elements, they are powerful symbols embedded in collective memory. Across the world, certain doors carry the spirit of an era, the struggle of a nation, or the traces of shared trauma. The front door of the White House in Washington is not merely an entrance to a government building. It is a symbolic threshold of political authority, security, and national identity. In London, the door of Abbey Road Studios holds a special place in global pop culture. For millions, it represents far more than a recording studio. It is the starting point of an artistic revolution. The gates of the Berlin Wall remain silent witnesses to the Cold War, division, and eventual reunification. These doors derive meaning not from visual grandeur alone, but from the collective stories they protect. Some guard power, some guard hope, others preserve painful truths that must not be forgotten. In the Karakum Desert of Turkmenistan lies the Darvaza gas crater, commonly known as the Door to Hell. This geological phenomenon, created by human error, tells a striking story about the fragile relationship between humanity and nature. In 1971, a collapse during drilling operations exposed a massive natural gas pocket. To prevent the gas from spreading into the atmosphere, the site was set on fire, with the expectation that it would burn for only a few days. More than half a century later, the fire has never gone out. This crater is not merely a natural event. It has become a symbol of the unpredictable consequences of human intervention. By day, it glows with burning orange light. By night, it shines like a beacon in the desert darkness. Here, the metaphor of the door appears both literally and figuratively. This human-made threshold reminds us of nature's patience and humanity's limits. Unlike most doors, this one does not close. What lies behind it continuously renews its own energy. Alongside monumental doors that witness historic events, there are countless ordinary doors that accompany the quiet depth of everyday life. The creaking wooden door of a countryside home bears witness to generations of joy, grief, and change. An apartment building door serves as the shared threshold of hundreds of lives that intersect without ever touching. A school door carries the hopes and curiosity of children who pass through it each morning. Palace gates, by contrast, express grandeur. They are not simply entrances to structures, but symbolic passages into wealth, power, and political influence. Every detail, from knockers to hinges, reflects the aesthetic values of the era in which they were built. Whether ordinary or magnificent, every door functions like a silent recording device. It accumulates footsteps, voices, habits, and emotions. Doors carry both continuity and transformation within human life. The future of doors is being shaped not only by technology, but also by changing human values. Today, doors are no longer simple mechanisms regulating entry and exit. They stand at a new intersection where sustainability, security, personalization, and digital identity converge. Environmentally friendly materials, low-carbon production methods, and energy-efficient designs are expanding the role of doors in sustainable architecture. Wood is no longer just natural. It has become a symbol of ecological responsibility. Glass has evolved from a decorative element into a core component of insulation technologies. Metal alloys combine durability with recyclability, shaping the ecosystem of future doors. At the same time, smart doors are at the center of personalized security. Facial recognition, biometric authentication, remote access, artificial intelligence-based threat analysis, and behavioral profiling transform doors into nodes of the digital world. The door is no longer only a physical threshold. It is now an interface where digital identity is managed. Beyond all technological progress, the metaphorical meaning of the door continues to evolve. Doors still symbolize change, uncertainty, opportunity, and choice. A closing door may mark the end of an era. An opening door may signal the beginning of a new journey. For this reason, doors will continue to exist not only as architectural elements, but as enduring symbols within human psychology and cultural memory. The doors of the future will shape human life in both material and abstract spaces. Because by nature, the door always contains two things at once: passage and transformation. And this history tells us one essential truth. Doors are not merely mechanisms that open and close. They are among humanity's oldest companions, carrying both visible and invisible stories. They are tangible archives of security, privacy, power, belief, and change. Civilizations have been shaped not only by the lives hidden behind doors, but also by the courage to step beyond them. Every threshold we pass today without noticing is the silent continuation of a memory stretching from the past into the present. This memory lives on in the grand entrance of a palace, in the creaking door of a rural home, and even in the digital sensors of a smart door. For this reason, the door is not merely a boundary. It is humanity's oldest and most enduring threshold into its own stories.